What's up everyone, Brian here, the Pace Pusher, going on week number 2 of my 26.2 to 100 mile journey. Look forward to talking to you about this week. What's happening everyone? Brian here again, the Pace Pusher, for week number 2 of my training log for the Keys 100, talking about a journey from a marathon to a 100-mile race, and going to be running through week by week what I'm doing, how I'm feeling in the whole process. I got a lot of questions from Instagram to do this log, and so I jumped into the YouTube world in order to do that. I'm also going to be creating some other videos for you, so make sure you hit subscribe below to see things like base training, the best free marathon training plans out there, as well as the rest of this training log for the 100-mile race. So let's jump right into it. Week 2, we did 64.22 miles over 7 different runs on 6 days. Monday, rest day, best day. You'll always hear that from me. So typically for me, Mondays are my rest days. The reason is it allows me to start my week off strong. It allows me to focus on work, which is more of a priority to me than my running. And it allows me to just level set and make sure I get everything dialed in for the week. So Monday was off. How did I get 7 runs in over 6 days? Is one day I did a double day. So I'm going to start incorporating these a little bit more. This week I was driving around like a maniac for work. I think I put probably a little over 1,000 miles on my car is what it felt like. So I was able to get a short little run in Palm Springs, California before heading back home. So that was on Tuesday. Most of my runs minus Saturday were all steady, easy runs, and so kind of putting my heart rate in my maffetone range. You'll hear me talk a lot about maffetone range. If you don't know anything about it, Google it, read about it. There's a lot of studies on it. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's some great ones just with Dr. Phil Maffetone on there talking about his philosophy and where this all came from. So I highly encourage you guys to take a look at that. But what maffetone is it's 180 beats per minute minus your age, and then it's plus or minus 5 depending on your fitness level and if you've ever gotten injured. So my maffetone range is 147 to 152. This is where I try to make sure all of my easy runs are well below or at that range, no more, no less. And so my easy runs this week, Sunday was my highest beats per minute average. It was 147, and the reason this is I think I was a little more fatigued from last Saturday than I thought, but the remaining of the week was all in the 130s, but still that pace is probably around a 750, 745 pace, so it's not like I'm running that slow, but this is something I've done over time, and you'll notice if you ever jump into low heart rate training that you'll notice your pace increases even though your heart rate stays the same the more and more you do this. So I remember when I first started doing maffetone low heart rate training, I was in the mid to upper 8s, and now it's come down to below 8 minutes for my maffetone range. What things were feeling good this week? Did a lot of hypervolt massaging. If you don't know anything about hypervolt, this is not sponsored. I am not a sponsored person from them, but I just absolutely love it. It allows me to get massage type work on my legs in the comfort of my own living room, sitting on the floor, massaging it out, throwing the ball for the dog, having my post-race drink. I did a really good job of doing that quite a bit this week, and I think that that probably is what helped my Saturday more dialed in quality session, which we'll talk about here shortly. But for me, this is what really helps with the recovery. What did I not do so good this week? I was kind of bummed about. My foam roller collected a lot of dust this week, which is never a good thing. And I didn't jump into my strength training. So I know one of the biggest things I'm trying to accomplish is I want to get my strength training dialed in, simply because when you're doing 100 miles on the road in the same direction, that's really prone for injury. And so I want to really work up the glutes and the lateral muscles so that way the repetition does not hurt. So next week, I'm going to get it done. I promise. I know I'm going to make it happen. Another question that I got on Instagram was what shoes I run in. And so I run in 3 different shoes. So one of the shoes for my lower mileage days, Dynaflight. I'm a huge fan of the Dynaflight. I have run in them for a long time. Those are actually my marathon racing shoes. Why? They just seem to work. I've always run in those since they've come out in my marathons, and so why change what isn't broken? Number 2, long runs. Glide Ride, Asics. Thank you for coming out with a maximum cushion shoe. So this one I just picked up late last year when they first came out, and I'll be getting my second pair here coming up soon. So all my longer runs are in that. And then lastly, my 3rd shoe I'm running in right now is the Nimbus. I also run in Cumulus, but I just retired my last ones as they're a little worn out and had these in a box, and so I've switched between Cumulus and Nimbus. So I am an Asics fan. This is not a video put on by Asics, but for me, they don't hurt my feet. They don't cause any problems. Therefore, I keep running in them. So those are the shoes that I run in, and I change them quite a bit. And the reason is it allows my feet to not get comfortable in one shoe, but to constantly be adapting to new shoes and development over time. And so I highly recommend that if you put in a lot of miles and you're not changing your shoes based upon the run or just changing them up on a regular basis, I think you'll find that your feet and your knees and everything do a lot better. So with that being said, let's get into the Saturday run. If you take a look here at the Saturday run, it was 21 miles for 2 hours and 32 minutes, 20 seconds. It averaged out to be about a 7:15 pace. I had scheduled out, we needed 8 to 10 miles at tempo. Currently my tempo range is between 640 and 645. And so I wanted to make sure that that was in there. I was going to make the decision at about mile 5 whether or not I should do the full 10 or just bring it down to the 8. That's why I had the range in there. And the other reason I'm doing tempo, again, remember why I'm doing one of my goals in this 100 miler is to get ready for the Chicago Marathon. So I'm not wanting my body to forget what these tempo runs and threshold work feels like. So the tempo run was over 10 miles. I averaged 6:37, and it was interesting feeling. So the first 3 miles were right where they needed to be, 6:43, 6:42, and then at 6:38. And so right towards the tail end of the 3rd mile, I really hit the groove and started to feel the rhythm. And so it was interesting for the remainder 7 miles, I had to really hold back to make sure that I stayed close to 640. It was a completely flat space that I did this tempo over, so I wasn't dealing with any hills, but it was a lot of high 630s range. So 636, 39, 35, 38, and all the way down to one of them dropped to 632. And I specifically remember telling myself, Brian, slow down, because I needed to make sure that I'm not killing myself for the remainder of the miles. So that felt really good to do that. On the back end of it, I found it somewhat difficult to get my heart rate down. And the reason is the route I chose, all the climbing was during my warm-up and the climbing is done during my cool down. And so I put in 660 63 feet of climbing in this 21-mile run. That doesn't sound like a lot because it's not a lot, but it's going to be more than double the amount of climbing that I'm putting in for the Keys 100, which is really interesting. So I found it difficult to bring my heart rate down because right when I finished the 10-mile tempo, I had a half mile, and then I started one of the two more sustained climbs in the run. So that has something to do with probably not being able to get it down. The average heart rate for that entire run ended up being 156, mostly probably because of the tempo, but I found that the cool down, I had a hard time getting it well below the 147 mark, which is okay. I know that there was a lot of things that went into that 10-miler, but I felt smooth, which is good. And then a little preview, I felt good going into my Saturday run after it. So that kind of begins week 3. So next week, meaning week 3, I'm going to be doing mostly steady state runs, simply because those are 2 back-to-back longer tempo days. So my tough workout next week is going to be one hill. The focus for week 3 is going to be focused on keeping the heart rate in that MAF tone below range, as well as putting in that one hill workout, ensuring I use that foam roller, ensuring I do the strength training routine that I need to, and get myself ready, as 2 weeks from today I am going to be pacing Surf City Marathon in Huntington Beach, California, the 3:15 group. It'll be a nice workout. It kind of fell in line with the training plan, so I'm looking forward to that. If you have any questions, make sure you comment, hit subscribe below to continue to follow on with this path, and I look forward to going on this journey with you. Again, Brian, Pace Pusher, thanks and have a good day.